So let's talk about what we've done in the past before we can talk about what we're doing today. Can someone tell me the reason that I showed you taking square roots on both sides yesterday? Why did I even introduce that lesson to you? What was the point of you even knowing it?
So you can get x alone.
So you can get x alone, but couldn't I do like so many other things? I could like group, I could do GCF. I mean, aren't there, so why introduce a new method? What is it about that method that I needed to?
It's in the state standards.
Yeah, I have more reasons than that.
Sometimes, like when it has the, you can't solve it by, like when there's this in parentheses and the two, you can't solve it by doubling it. So you need to like
So she's talking about if I were given something like this. Remember how yesterday our problems looked like this? And then whatever, I'll put 49. And she just said you can't double it, which means you can't like write it twice and FOIL it or double distribute it. Because there's an easier way to solve it. What's that easier way? Square rooting both sides. What's the other type of problem that you had yesterday that I said it's so much easier if you just square root both sides? Don't group. Don't do GCF. What was another example? I love how Cameron's the only one trying to answer. Hey guys, you're here too. On some of the examples, like give me one that doesn't look like this from yesterday. That would be super easy because square rooting both sides. Huh?
Go ahead.
This is a parentheses one that I just put on the board in black. That's one on your problems from yesterday? Oh, like a squared equals 9. I like that example. Because square rooting both sides is so much easier. And that's actually the only way to solve that one, honestly. So, we did square rooting both sides yesterday. Okay, so I've said before, graphing quadratics, which we'll get to in a couple weeks, is intertwined in so many other topics that we're going to learn that the little things I'm teaching you now, you're going to use a week from now, 3 weeks from now. And this topic, solved by completing the square, you're going to use yesterday's square root both sides today in this. And you're going to use factoring. Remember how you have like this? And I'm like, what's it? What is it, guys? What is it? What's the two parentheses? We're going to do that today inside this completing the square. So completing the square is another way for you to find your x's, roots, x-intercepts, solutions. And it is called completing the square because we are going to square a number. And I'll show you more about it. So first off, you're going to have a box. I'm into the main idea area. You're going to have a box that is x squared plus 6x plus 9. So let's draw it. I'm just going to draw something. I don't know if it's a square or rectangle yet. Okay, obviously length and width is how you find area. And I'm going to tell you that the length times the width is x squared plus 6x plus 9. Now you have all this on your paper already. You don't have the shape, so you could draw the shape. That'd be fine. What am I going to have my length be? What am I going to have my width be so that I get x squared plus 6x plus 9? What two things? It has to be two. Look. One thing, two thing. Length times width. What two things make x squared plus 6x plus 9? You're right. X plus 3, x plus 3. So that's going to be my length, and that's going to be my width. So I gave you a trinomial, and I asked you basically to factor it. What is this shape, though? Should it be a rectangle or should it be a square? Based on my blue sides. Why did you know it was a square? All sides are the same. They're all x plus 3. Okay. So that's square. Let's circle that. Okay. So what I'm going to show you now is I'm going to show you how to complete the square, because maybe you don't want to use quadratic formula. Maybe you don't want to do grouping. Maybe you don't want to do GCF, but you still need to find your x equals what? X equals what? So completing the square is yet another method. And by the time we get done with this, you're going to have quite a few options. And if I give you a problem like this, you'll like decide on your own. Oh, my favorite method is this. I'm going to use this. And you'll use your favorite method. But me giving you a bunch of choices just helps you get stronger in the topic, quadratics. And then we'll graph them soon. So, right there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write all the steps on the right side. And I also have the steps pre-written on the board for you, because maybe you want to just look at the board and copy it. So, right now, I don't even have an equals 0. I have an equals 24, but that's good. So step 1 is, real quick, let me write our standard form. ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So my steps are going to be, what do I do first? First job, make sure the c is on the right side. So on the other side of the equal sign. And look, 24 is. Done. Looks great. I would like you, underneath this black x squared plus 10x equals 24, I would like you to rewrite it, but I need you to leave a space right here. I need you to leave a big space after 10x, because what we're going to do now is we're going to complete the square and then factor this trinomial that we're going to get. Okay. Second step is going to be divide b. What number is b? 10. Divide b in half and then square it. So let's practice doing that. That space that you have, that's what we're going to do. B is 10, you said, right? Okay, let's cut 10 in half and square it. 10 cut in half squared. My 2 looks so bad. Okay, you're also going to add that to both sides. So this 10 over 2 squared, you're going to add it to the left side and you're going to add it to the right side. And the reason that you have to add it to both sides is because I need to create a trinomial on my left. And remember the property of equality, whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I need to make sure that I'm fair on both sides. So let me rewrite this now. On the left side, x squared plus 10x plus 5 squared equals 24 plus 5 squared. This right here that I just did, that's the hardest part of the whole process. So your job is to remember, cut b in half and square it. Add it to both sides. Whatever I do to one side, I got to do to the other side. The reason that we're adding this to both sides is because I need to create a trinomial right here. What is x squared plus 10x plus, what's 5 squared? 25. This 5 right here, I left it there on purpose. That 5 is a giveaway. That 5 is a giveaway as to what goes inside my parenthesis. The 5 goes in parentheses. That's why I left it 5 squared. I could have written 25. Of course I could have. But I wanted you to know that I'm going to leave the answer to your factoring in the step above it. Do you agree that x plus 5 is x squared plus 10x plus 25? Is that the proper factor? Okay. On the right side, what's going on over there? What is 24 plus 25? 49. Okay. So you just have to add it. You have to do the math. Is there a better way that I could write x plus 5, x plus 5?
X plus 5 squared.
Oh, okay, let's do that. Oh my gosh.
Oh!
Where have you seen that before? What is that on the screen?
Whoa.
What do? You did that yesterday. So you could totally do the rest of the problem. What's the rest of the problem then? Square root both sides. And guess what the next step's going to be? Let me write it in blue. You know what I didn't write in blue? Factor the left side. And what I mean by that is you're going to like put parentheses squared. Like what is it? X plus 5. It's always going to be like that. You will never ever in completing the square have like x minus 7, x plus 8. Random numbers. No, it's going to be the same number. Written twice in a row. Always, always. Okay, now let's do exactly what we did yesterday. I got sunshine. Sorry.
What?
Right? X plus 5 equals 7. X plus 5 equals negative 7. Solve it. I just found my x's. I just solved my problem. So, step 4 is square root both sides. Question, yeah. Say it again. What if I can't what?
What if you can't split b in half?
Like if it becomes a fraction, then you write a fraction in your parentheses. So before we can really go on, I need to make sure that you guys are really good at cutting b in half. And that's what's directly below you. Where we're going to look at all the b's, and we're just going to practice cutting them in half and squaring it. So on A, you're going to put 4 over 2 squared. Hey, wake up. Please just leave it 2 squared. So go through all the way to G. Cut b in half. 14 divided by 2 squared. 7 squared. Practice b divided by 2 squared. b divided by 2 squared. Oh, a negative is totally fine. Negative 8 divided by 2 squared. And what's cool is that all these numbers here, the 2 squared, would be the number that I would put in my parentheses after I factor it. The 7, that's the number that I put in the parentheses that I factor. This negative 4, that's the number I put in parentheses when I factor. D. Negative 1 squared. E. 10 divided by 2 squared. 5 squared. F. Negative 16 divided by 2 squared. Negative 8 squared. Oh, here's one that he was talking about. You cut 7 in half and you square it, but you can't do anything with 7 halves. Do not make it a mixed number. It basically stayed that way until you decided you were ready to work it out, And you'd get 49 over 4. You won't see those too often, but it's fine to have a fraction. I like leaving them in this format, -1 squared, 5 squared, because this -1 is the number you're going to put in the parentheses. This 5 is the number you're going to put in parentheses. This -8 is the number you're going to put in parentheses. Okay. Is my C on the right-hand side?
Yes.
The 7? It is. So remember how I told you need to be super spacious? Space, space, space bar, space bar, space bar. Do you guys even call it space bar? Tab? Yeah? Okay. So, what do I do first? You know, no one really sounds like they're confident. Divide B in half. Yes. Add it to both sides. 6 over 2 squared. 6 over 2 squared. Just do 6 over 2 is a 3, so just leave it x squared plus 6x plus 3 squared equals 7 plus, you could just make this one 9 if you want. You want to make it 9?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did I leave that 3 there? Why didn't I make it a 9? Good. Put it in parentheses. That's your factored form. X squared plus 6x plus 9. X plus 3, x plus 3. Equals 16. Sweet! Square root both sides, right? X plus 3 equals 4. X plus 3 equals -4. The square root of 16 has two answers. It's 4 and it's -4. What are my two answers? What are my two x's? Okay, I'm going to do in red real quick the hardest parts. This is where people need to make sure that they know what they're doing right here. Because once you get to that part where you can square root both sides, it's all the same as yesterday. Everything intertwines in math. Everything. All right, turn the page. On the top of the page is number 3, right? Before you leave, right now I want you to do, well actually as you see it on the board, that's your homework too. So no, the back side of notes, guys. I don't want to have the same mess up as earlier this week. Back side of notes that you just took, we just finished number 2, go to number 3. That's the 3, 4, 5, 6 that I want you to do. Help each other. Go ahead and begin. Use the problems before it to help you solve the current problems.